So I'm Arvindh Rao. In July, I'll be 34 years old. And so I was born vegetarian. My parents are vegetarian, their parents are vegetarian. And typical of most Indian vegetarians, you don't really think about, oh, hey, what's the story with dairy? And then I think a few years ago, your Instagram stories and also a couple of other vegan influencers on Instagram kind of started alerting me to the fact that how does the dairy industry actually operate, right? What does it mean to have a constant production of milk? What happens to the male calves and things like that? And then once you see the video of a newborn calf basically being slaughtered on day one because it's excess product, you can't unsee that. And so that kind of started triggering my thought process of, okay, like, is this what I want to do? The other thing, honestly, is that, I ate about as much cheese pizza and like macaroni and cheese and mozzarella sticks as anybody else. Obviously I had the athletic body of a god because of that, but also it led to situations where I'd wake up after a heavy meal, feeling bloated, not really great. I'd feel as if I did a very heavy workout, even if I never entered the gym. So looking at your stuff, seeing your own transformation from when you first started to, where you were in 2021 and frankly where you are now, it kind of motivated me to go, okay, well, I'm 30, well, I guess this time last year I was 33. I have to take control of my health. Like, this is kind of not going anywhere. I work in finance at a hedge fund. And so that means I'm usually exhausted from the combination of too many hours on desk. So that means lack of mobility. It means not getting more than 6 hours of sleep a day. It means drinking 3-4 times a week for work. Because in New York City, socialization happens over alcohol. And so a sequence of unhealthy habits. I think the pandemic really forces one to think about, okay, what do we want? Right, and as I got more senior at the hedge fund and got promoted, what's sustainable, right? I have to be healthier because I can't keep going out, till midnight every night, waking up hungover, going to work, being cranky, eating junky food, and then what does that do to me, right? And so decided to take the plunge, went vegan, and thankfully with your coaching and with Niels and the whole team, it was very effective, right? Here I am a year later and still very, very much benefiting from sort of the lessons, the foundational lessons, but also the direction that you set me on. Look, my biggest struggle, honestly, in some ways, is cultural, right? When you grow up as a vegetarian in India, and that's where I grew up. I immigrated to the US in 2002. And growing up in India as a vegetarian, you kind of don't really think about kind of dietary practices, right? You kind of eat whatever your mom makes, or if you're going out at a restaurant, it's always, as I think about it, it's carbs with starchy carbs and a side of carbs, and like dishes with lots of heavy cream in it. And so my biggest struggle was, and I remember very clearly, at one point in 2013, I was running 25 miles every single week. So much so that a year of that I actually tore ligaments in my knees. Because I was too heavy, really shouldn't have been running, but I did. But what was more remarkable was I didn't lose a single pound in a year of running 25 miles a week. I was going to the gym, I was lifting weights, but oh my God, nothing. And honestly, the answer is just a lack of portion control, not measuring things as I cook it. Actually, at that point, I didn't know how to cook. So that was another problem. So restaurant food all the time, or instant noodles, pizza, pasta, every single meal, Subway sandwiches, Chipotle. I mean, in moderation, all of that's okay. But when every meal's like that, it led to a process where I'm just constantly struggling. And so I think having that portion control, learning about that, learning about how to make clean protein the center of the meal, and building a meal around that, whether it's tofu, whether it's seitan, whether it's nutritional yeast, and starting from that and taking it from there. How do you then add the carbs? How do you add the vegetables without having too much fiber? Because I also went through kind of what you went through in your initial stages, right? Where you eat a bunch of vegetables, not enough protein, so an hour later I'm like, okay, I'm starving Arvindh. B, I'm feeling bloated. And so really thinking about it methodically, making a habit out of it, right? I think for me, there's the pillars of your program, right? The mental training, dealing with the stresses of the hedge fund. And it's unending, right? There is no, even on a holiday, like we went to Dubai recently for a friend's wedding. I was working 2-3 hours every night. A couple of weeks ago, I had the common cold. Tested, no COVID, for those who are listening. But I had to work through the weekend because something important was happening at work. So when that's relentless and you're always under constant mental, I don't want to say pressure in a heartbreaking kind of way, but more performance pressure. Having that mental training, focusing on your sleep, focusing on mobility, because I sit on the chair so long that I'm turning into a chair, right? Like this is, in some ways, like you're at peace here. Not when you're standing, not when you're dancing, which is strange because that's not how we were designed. So those are some of my struggles, and I think working with you, what really helped was addressing each of those methodically. And that, I think, was the most important, because it's been, almost a year since we stopped chatting weekly. And honestly, my practices haven't changed. Like, I'll go out for drinks. I still go out for drinks. But I'll come home hammered, and I'll still be able to make a meal with noodles, tofu, vegetables. I know, measure it, add it to the app, and it's great. Having that discipline, I think, was the hardest part, the biggest struggle. Consistency and accountability. And your program, I mean, that's the starting point of your program, so that was great. Lots of people can measure strength, in terms of wins, my biggest wins or my biggest benefits from the program. Lots of people might say, oh, okay, I can bench press this or I can squat that. For me, honestly, dancing. I love dancing, right? I'm Indian. Indian weddings are hours of dancing, all right? It's the everyday act of being able to say, okay, I'm able to dance for 3 hours today. Tomorrow I'll feel a little bit sore, but I can carry on with my life. Or I can play around with the puppies. You've seen the puppies. They are high energy. Puppy number 1 will go out for a 3-hour walk, come back, and then wants to play for 3 hours. Because guys, walking is different from playing. And how do you have the energy for that? Like, it sounds ridiculous, but in the beginning of the program, I couldn't even do that. I didn't have the motivation, either mental motivation, mobility, or the physical energy to constantly run after them. And I think for me, the everyday things, right? Having the joy of saying, okay, hi Maddie, let's go out this weekend. Let's go for a walk, for a 3-hour walk. We'll go find something interesting to do. That spontaneity, because what happens is between work stress, lack of physical exercise, and lack of having that mental centeredness, especially during lockdown, it's easy to get into the cave mentality. And frankly, I was stuck in a rut where I didn't really have any interest. Every day was the same. I'd wake up, I'd sit on the dining table, log in, work for 12-13 hours, have dinner, watch mindless TV for an hour, sleep, and weekends just sit down, watch TV and sleep. And that's not the way to live, right? There's so much more to life. And I think for me, having the physical strength, the mental clarity, and the desire to experience life to the fullest, right? Getting joy from doing, actually recently, went to a bachelor party in South Carolina. We did a ropes course, right? One of those big gyms where you strap up and you it's almost like American Ninja Warrior or something. Obstacles, lots of rope climbing, or walking on unstable things. I'm terrified of heights. Like, a step ladder terrifies me. Actual fear of falling, because that's never fun. B, the lack of confidence in my own body. Can I sustain walking on an unstable thing? Or climbing up a rope ladder? And this time around when I went to the bachelor party, didn't let the fear hold me back, because I went through some of the daily stoic lessons, right? Went through breathing exercises, reminded myself, just breathe. 5-year-olds are doing this with so much joy. I can too. And once I set that mindset, I had so much fun. So I think that kind of stuff, and having the physical energy to actually do it, I think those are easily my biggest wins. And of course, being able to squat and bench press and all the other stuff, that's also nice. in the beginning when I started the program, I could bench press, maybe, call it 25 kilos or 60 pounds. And by the end of the program in June, I was bench pressing, call it 50 kilos or 110 pounds. And now I'm bench pressing like 60, 70 kilos, 150 pounds. Squat, similar kind of progress. Weight-wise, last year in the beginning on Jan 1, I was something like 225 pounds, 30+% fat. And now I'm like 202, 25% fat. So that's a big fat loss. I think measurements-wise, for me the most important thing, 2017, I was in Vietnam. I got some custom tailored clothes because it's very easy to get them tailored there. So I did that. Now they are very loose on me, right? 2 years into a pandemic, 5 years since I bought it, they're loose. I'm like, okay, I need to go get these altered. So, and my skin feels great. I'm full of energy. So again, metrics-wise, there's the bench pressing, there's the squats, there's the ability to say, I did a workout, tomorrow I don't feel sore. Now it's to the point where I could have a heavy workout where I'm huffing and puffing, heart rates at whatever beats per minute for however long, and the next day I'm ready to go again. Obviously I won't, because that's overdoing it, but I can. Yeah. So it's been 10 months since our last workout together. What's changed is I feel about as energetic as I did a year ago. What's changed is, like I mentioned, even custom tailored clothes from 5 years ago fit just as well. What's changed is that I do not hold back karaoke bars, whether it's a wedding, reception or whatever, having that energy constantly. And I think part of it is the vegan diet. Part of it is, I think, the training you've given, the physical and the mental training. And part of it is actually trying to get some sleep, even though that's still a struggle for me. Having the consistent habit. Like I mentioned, I can be hammered out of my mind after a fun night out bar hopping, but I will come home and I will make my tofu-centered meal, and I will have that. And the next day I won't have a hangover. No longer eating the junky, cheese pizza with jalapenos on it, just to satisfy the drun cheese, as they call it. I think having the habit of going to the gym, regardless of the condition. If I'm very tired, okay, maybe I'll say I'm better off getting that extra hour of sleep. But otherwise, going to the gym, getting my steps in, right? That's still a focus. Even at work now, like I'll work for half an hour and I'll walk around for 5 minutes. Does that mean I have to stay an extra hour because I'm losing some time doing that? Sure, but that's okay, because it's worth it. And so those are the sort of things I've carried forward